All right.
Okay.
I'd like to call the order of the Richmond Park and Recreation Board to order. I will now read the mission statement. The Richmond Parks and Recreation Department provides for the positive development and well-being of the Richmond community through the provision of parks, greenways, trails, and recreational programming and facilities while working in cooperation with other service providers and partners in the community to maximize all available resources. Do we have any special guests today?
No, we do not.
All right, we will move on to the approval of minutes from August 10th. Have folks had a chance to review them? Okay, can I entertain a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the August 10th minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. On to the administration report. Denise.
Yes, I just had a few things I wanted to highlight. I'm going to pass these out. This is so we can vote for our market. We are getting down to the wire. So we have until Monday to vote, and there's a QR code there. We've been passing them out all over the place. Been on the radio. We've been, we have spots on the radio. We really are kind of neck and neck with Fort Wayne. And Fort Wayne is a huge market. They have like 4 different streets. They have concerts at the end of streets. I mean, Fort Wayne is a huge market, and we're neck and neck for first place in the state of Indiana with that. So if that makes total sense that we're neck and neck at first place, like we want the first place spot. Like we want it, and so we need our community to really grab a hold of that. So we're really pushing that out there, and it's been really working, you know, helping people, you know, tell them about the QR code, and if you guys could help as well, that would be great. Share it, share the information we have online, tell all your friends, pass them out, whatever you need to do, but we are up there, and we want to be able to say we're first in Indiana. We get $5,000, which is a +2, but if we can also make that top 5 in the Midwest, that's a huge selling point too, right? People are going to come visit our market all throughout the state of Indiana and also in the Midwest. Well, we want to go visit that top 5 market in the Midwest. And then if we can get top 10 in the nation, I mean, that's really what we're striving for too, is top 10 in the nation. Then we can also have that ability to say. So we're really striving hard for that, so I wanted to tell you about that. Also want to let you know Jazz is paid in full, so we got that all taken care of. I know you like to know when that is all taken care of. Also, we have 2 Seton interns from Seton High School, so that's really great. We have 1 Seton intern that's going to be here most of the afternoon on Mondays and Wednesdays, and they're really working on some programming, which is wonderful since we're kind of low in that resource area at this point. And then I wanted to just highlight that the dam removal is still underway. A lot of people are calling about that and asking, okay, what's happening with the Weir Dam? So I'm going to give you a little update here. Basically what's happening is we just got approved from SHPO office, and the preliminary the archaeological document plan for the removal has been implemented, and the permit is ready to go. So basically they're looking to mobilize in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And so now they'll come in, they'll do brush removal, and then they will they'll work through all that initial work. So they're going to wait till they actually receive the final permitting, and then I'll just update you again when I file a concrete timeline on the removal. So that's what we have going on with that. That's exciting, the Weir Dam removal, and that's all I have right now on things that I have going on.
All right. Any question and comments on Denise's report? Welcome, Dakota.
Thank you.
Moving on to the vision reports. Jim, do you have anything to highlight?
I have to just touch on a couple of things here. Been a while since I've been here. Just the maintenance division, they've been busy doing several projects. A couple of things I'll highlight here. They've installed new benches at the Madonna, the trail here at Glen Miller, and they recited the pump house here at the splash pad. Middle Fork Reservoir is doing well, scheduled to close Saturday, September 30th for the season. And in the absence of Keith, I finished up the softball, which finished last night. And I'd like to announce that Reed won the tournament, followed by IBEW in second place and Wetzel in third. And just to let everyone know, the Veterans Day Parade is scheduled for Saturday, November 11th. It'll start at 9 a.m. Travel from Northwest 8th and West Main down to the Veterans Park. So, any questions? All right,
I
thank you.
think we're good. Thank you, Jim. Financials?
So Emma is absent due to a wellness issue, and so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have or try to answer any questions on financials.
Anybody have a question, comments about financials? Okay. Seeing no one else in the audience.
I was just going to highlight on your community recreation report, this is kind of the end of JUCO synopsis, and this is highlighted in your community recreation report. So this is everything about JUCO and how it went, and JUCO by the numbers. So definitely a cool read, so I thought you would definitely want to see that. Also got word that through the Joy Games that the Richmond Senior Recreation Center had 9 members join yesterday. So the Joy Games is a huge benefit for us to be a part of. And so that was just really a success story. So I wanted to highlight that for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to board concerns, comments, any? Delegation and correspondence.
2 things I wanted just to highlight. One, I wanted just to make sure that I gave you this letter that we received in the here in the mail, just so it's highlighting Life Spring Church and what they're doing with the Stricker Park transition, and I thought that that was a really nice update from them, so I wanted you to have that. And then secondly, something that's not in delegation and correspondence either listed there, is we're working on a grant through the Wayne County Foundation, and I think that's important for you to know that we are working on that in hopes that if funded, we would be able to utilize some of those funds to put towards simulators at the golf course. So that would be a matching opportunity through patronicity, and so the funds that we're requesting are $10,000 through the Wayne County Foundation as a part of that. So that grant is something that we're working on. I wanted the board to be well aware.
Okay. Do you want me to bring that up, I guess?
Yeah.
So I teach a agricultural class. For some reason, I'm a Philly girl, but they stuck me with teaching agriculture this year to my 5th and 6th graders. And so on Tuesday, I visited the Richmond Farmers Market because I wanted my students to experience some of the local produce from our farmers. And so I ran into a vendor, the McDermott Family Farms. Talking with them, they heard what I was trying to do, and they actually donated majority of the produce that I was able to cook and feed my kids yesterday. So they got to experience spaghetti squash, honey nut squash, tomatoes, cucumbers, green peppers, and sweet potatoes, a lot of them for the first time ever. And they actually liked my cooking, so thank you, good job. Even though I just had salt, pepper, and olive oil, but they were really, really impressed with the fact that there was farmers that were willing to donate food so they can enjoy. And so as a thank you, we had one of our Paris, actually she's a great drawer, better than me, I can never draw that good, but she drew the picture, she took it from their banner that they had on their display, and so my kids signed the poster today, and in hopes that we can deliver this to them and thank them for the wonderful food that we enjoyed yesterday. So just wanted to shout that out to the Divot Farms. Thank you.
That's really
Yes.
cool.
Yes, a lot of work too. My oven was on fire for 2 hours, so been a while. With that, we will move on to old business. First up is the approval of the rate increases for 2024.
So we did come together in a special work session on September 6th to talk through some of the park-wide revenue projections and increases in hopes that we could get the board's feedback and also answer any questions that we had or that they had, so we could go through that. And so I'm happy to entertain any additional questions that you might have or anything that got maybe lost in translation. One of the things I'll just kind of highlight, it is a revenue increase pretty much across the board with not increasing revenue at Highland Lake Golf Course and decreasing the rates at Middle Fork Reservoir for 2024.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was not able to attend that special meeting. As always, I'm not a fan of rate increases, but I understand that it's needed in order for us to have the resources and, the services that we provide. So despite, I hate the word rate increase, I feel like it is valid for what you're trying to do for our parks. And so I'm on board with this. So if other folks have comments.
I have a comment on the golf. I think they've done a good job of comparing rates in the area
Yeah.
as to where we are right now. But I don't believe that any of the competitive golf courses have done anything to prepare for next year and their rates. So I would be willing to approve the rates that they've got right now, and the condition that we revisit them in November or December after some of the courses have announced their 24 rates, to see if we remain competitive. And if we're not, it gives us a chance to catch up a little bit more.
Okay. What are folks' thoughts on that?
I'm fine with the review.
I'm fine with that. Is
that possible?
that possible with less
This
people?
is your meeting and you decide. I think that at this point, if this is a rate increase you feel like we need when we come back together, or you see the other rates that are popping up with area courses or municipal courses, and you think a rate increase is in order, that is your call as the board that oversees this fund, and you have all authority to do that and make that happen. So it's just a vote of the board. So by all means, it would just increase what we have now in the budget. It's, right now we have a budget sitting there with no increases, right?
Right.
So it would just increase what we have coming in. So I don't foresee, for example, if we were to say we have set rate increases and that's how we planned our budget, then I don't know that that would be something we'd be looking at. But I think that you have the authority to say we would want to revisit if possible. So however you want to motion in that regard. If you want to take Highland separately, then the rest of the rate increases, that would be your call.
What I might suggest motion-wise is to approve the rate increase clean without any sort of addendum like that, but then do a second motion requesting that the park administration do another review by a certain date and provide that report to the board.
I don't care how I do it, but
Yeah.
I think we need the ability to go back and make sure that we're in the same ballpark as far as rates go, because I don't think it would hurt us to have some more money.
And you would think Wes will have that report for us by November, December?
Hopefully November, but certainly by December, because the courses are gonna have to get their budget squared away.
Right.
I know for a fact one of them locally hasn't even had a conversation about it.
But will they have
And
those
that's-
rates publicized by then if it's for next year? Because that's really the only way.
Well, I
we sort of
think,
know
I
if it's
mean,
not publicized.
what I'm proposing is we at least come back and entertain it, okay? And find out with the most current information,
Yeah.
and we react accordingly at that point in time.
Yeah, so I think Mike's just saying, let's just not put it off the table at this point. If we look at the budget and it looks like we might need it, or we need to be a little bit more competitive as a business, then we could potentially still entertain something like that. I think is that where you're going with that? So it's a little different in the golf industry, right? So we've talked a little bit about this before, where, when we're making a budget in June, we have 2 months of play, right? We have 2 months of play that we've really solidly been effective, right? And so now we're looking at, okay, what's happened last year and what's gonna happen 6 months from now, and really trying to gauge what our budget's gonna be and what our revenues are gonna be, and hope that we're gonna make this money. There's a lot that plays into it when most courses they budget January, and that's how they budget. They see what their year end is, and they go to their year end. So, that's how their rates are as well.
I mean, we could have a great fall, okay? Or it could rain all fall, okay? So to try to throw something together right now, I think is very difficult because you don't have the whole season that other people do. So, I mean, it's just the way it is. Now's the time to make the budget. But to protect ourselves, I think we need to at least review it as late as possible in the year. And if it's available for a rate increase, then I know you don't like them, but if it doesn't, if we need it, then we've got the opportunity to put the rates out there accordingly.
And as long as, West Township members, they feel it's reasonable, the rate increase, then I'm fine with it. I hate it. But if members feel it's doable, then I'm all for it, so.
Yeah, whether you want to do one
Yeah.
motion or two motions, I don't.
We want to just do two? Does that make sense? Easier?
Your call.
I'm okay with that.
Well, then what I'll do is make a motion to approve the rate increases for 2024.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second for the approval of rate increases for 2024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a second motion that we reopen the rates as of at least at the December meeting to see where we are competitively with the area golf courses and adjust the rates accordingly if that's practical.
Second.
We got that, right? Okay. It's been motion and second for us to open and review Highland Golf Course to see if there is a potential need for rate increases. Does that make sense? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on next to the approval of non-reverting budgets. Are we going to do this like one at a time? Okay.
I would.
All right. So let's start off with the 2211 Highland Lake Golf Course.
So right here, I've given you in number 1 and letter A, the golf course budget as the city presents, and then our division budget, just so you can see it in both different ways and different opportunities there. This is just how we do things. We like to see a division budget, and then later on, the city then provides us this budget in the kind of in the end of the budget time. So that's why I like to give you both budgets. Sometimes people see things a little differently. So I give you both of them just to review. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Just let me know which budget you're referring to.
Okay, I'll open it for question and comments for Highland Lake Golf Course.
I may be misremembering, and if so, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
In the city budget, the cash flow, out of whatever the system is, did the anticipated increase in cash and cash equivalents go up recently? I thought it was 6 before, and now it's 9 for an ending of 30, but I could be misremembering that.
Yeah, this hasn't changed.
This hasn't changed, okay. I must have been thinking about one of the other budgets.
Unless it was a previous one that we sent out. I'm not aware of, but yeah, these were not changed except that the insurance went down just a slight hair, and that wouldn't have affected that in an increase.
Gotcha.
So that's the only thing that really changed on these budgets when they made some changes.
Cool, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Okay. If not, is there a motion to approve the budget for the Highland Lake Golf Course?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second for the approval of the 2211 Highland Lake Golf Course budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the 2415 Widow Person Services, Human Services budget. Denise, anything to say on this one?
No, there's a pretty hefty cash balance here. You know, they still need to continue to raise money each year to match that grant match. I think we've been pretty adamant that that is a necessary requirement. And so they have a craft fair coming up in October. That looks pretty successful. And so, you know, they still got a good operating capital balance here, so.
All right, open up for questions, comments. We're good? All right. Is there a motion to approve the 2415 Widow Person Services, Human Services budget?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Move on to the 2416 Richmond Farmers Market budget.
Yeah, so basically, you know, same revenues and appropriations and, you know, personnel services, supplies are basically the same across the board. You know, not much has changed in this budget from 2023 to 2024. You know, we are working on the Richmond Farmers Market plan and trying to finalize that, and I think that will be a step in the right direction in terms of vendor fees and some of the other things that we're trying to really line up. Right now we have a solid market. I'm really proud of what we have and the product and the products that we provide, and the vendors are very happy. So just need to get that number one. Just need to get that number one in the state. But yeah, I think this is an overall same kind of budget that we provided in the past.
And we're still encouraging the vendors to turn in their,
They're doing a very good job. I mean, it's almost now second nature to them. We try to take a lot of the guesswork out. We write the dates on it, we hand it to them, we remind them several times during the market. So when they come up with their SNAP tokens, or they come up with their payouts, or whatever it might be, they're constantly coming up with those tickets as well, right? So it's kind of like, this is what I've got to do at the end of the night, right? Or at the end of the day of the market. So it's kind of like, I got to check that off, I got to check that off, and I got to check that off. So having a market intern there also helps because they can kind of come around and remind as well, you know, let me pick that up for you, you know. But yeah, so those things actually should be updated fairly soon in the next couple of days, as those were all taken home this past Tuesday.
other questions, comments for Farmers Market? If not, I guess I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the budget for the Richmond Farmers Market. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the 4403 McBride Non-Reverting Capital Fund.
This is just a typical budget, just like every other year. All user fees go directly back into McBride, and self-explanatory, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, open up for questions or comments. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the McBride budget. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 3312 park sinking bond payoff.
Yeah, this is not something that you necessarily have to approve. This is for your information only. I just wanted you to see this. It's just basically showing that the park bond is sinking and that everything has been paid off. So it amounts to zero, and that is quite exciting. So that one's completed, and looking forward to maybe starting that conversation about the next master plan bond.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All right, thank you. Moving on to reverting budget for review. First up is to 2204 Park and Recreation Fund.
Yeah, so these are just for review. You don't necessarily have to vote on them unless the board would like to entertain a vote on them, that's fine. I just wanted these to be here for your review, and this is the 2204 Park and Recreation Fund, and this is our overall tax fund that council oversees. And in those budgets are a Middle Fork budget and a sports and recreation, or basically a sports budget. And so I kind of make those kind of out in a separate division budget so you can kind of see those and how we outline those to make sure that they are being funded and that it is on the up and up and everything, we're doing our due diligence there. So this is the 2204, and as you see, Middle Fork and sports, you know, in 2018 we took those out of golf and moved those into the tax fund. And so we do all that we can to make sure that those are also successful. Additionally, sports and recreation is really funded with a partnership with Reed as well to be able to have our industrial league going strong. So that's also a part of that. So I just wanted to make sure that you were well aware of the fund and what we're requesting and answer any questions that you might have.
I would speak personally that I would need more time to review this. Just because I just barely just sunk my teeth into this. So I know personally I would like to have more time, but if other folks.
You don't have to vote on it tonight.
No.
You don't have
We
to
don't have to
vote
vote
on
on
it.
it.
You don't have to vote on it.
Thank you, because I was like, I just like to have more
So we
time.
don't
But
have
I think
authority
it's
to
important
approve
that
it.
you review it.
Yes.
And because, you know, even though you're not the body that oversees it, you pretty much oversee it. You review the financials every month
Yep.
that's in accordance with this budget, and that's why I like for you to see it and review it and know what you're looking at
And give feedback.
and give feedback. And also, if you have any questions, I can go over those with you. So one of the things I'll just point out, and some of the things that were requested in this budget, is for 2 additional maintenance laborers. That's a big thing, and it's very exciting, and hopefully it will continue to move forward because it will be very helpful. So I think I talked through that during our budget session, and so that's very exciting. We weren't able to put any capitals in this budget, but hoping again that the bond could come through soon, and we could bond again, and maybe we could have some capitals in that as well as the projects in the master plan. So that's the thought process on that, and but you know, operations, there's always need for additional operations dollars, so we budgeted accordingly, especially the chemical increase, you'll notice that. And the floral division increase was kind of a considerable increase for the things that they need on the stuff that they're constantly taking care of downtown, and this loop and things like that. So I think those are the main areas that you'll see those increases, especially contractual increases, because people are raising their contractual prices. And so with inflation, we just had to make sure that we covered what we needed. And so I feel really good about the budget. I would love to have had a lot more capitals, but we do what we can.
From a capital standpoint, and I'll say vehicles and mowers and whatnot, how are we situated? I mean, are we okay with enough good vehicles and good mowers and whatnot that we don't expect to have a problem?
Well, we just bought 2 last year. So, I think that, I think we're good for another year if we can, keep moving forward. Always we want to do transitional fleet, a transitional fleet plan. So keep them as long as we can. They start, giving us a little fits or trouble, then that obviously we got to start looking at that. But our mechanic definitely checks things thoroughly. We just got 3 mowers in 2019 with that bond, and that's been very helpful. We're looking to get our batwing mower back in action. It's been down for a little while, so some of these things take money. So we've been trying to work through that. That'll mow a little bit more property. Things break. on a regular basis. Sometimes it's no fault of the operator, sometimes it's the equipment, and we do have older equipment in some areas, so, you know, we look at those kinds of things when we're looking to propose a capital request. We just received a backhoe. That was our big purchase this year, because our other two backhoes aren't exactly dependable, but now we have those two to fall back on if we need to, but our new backhoe is great. So, I mean, those are things that we know what we need going forward, and we're working through that plan, so, yeah, good question.
Other questions or comments? All right. With that, there's no new business, so is there anything else for today? If not, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved and second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.